Infrastructure Services and Networks Committee meeting. Before the meeting itself, we've got three submitters from the public forum. One can't be here today, so I was asked another submitter to read theirs. We've got Lenore Templeton from the Rocks, who's got a property on both sides of the Taieri River, and then Leon. And then we've got Leon Leslie. I've invited them both up to talk to their submissions because the questions may be the same for both parties, so it's probably easier if they read through their what they want to talk to first and then take questions. But they are individual presentations. I hope that's okay. Lenore.
Okay, firstly, thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to speak this afternoon. My husband and I, as Kate said, own a property on both sides of the Taieri River, and we use the Sutton Bridge daily. We have 80 hectares irrigated land on the Sutton side and 2,700 hectares, 90 of which is irrigated on the Mount Stoker side. We use the Sutton block mostly for fattening lambs and calves and also grazing dairy cows, and it grows all our winter supplements, which of course go back over to the other side on the dryland side. Just to give you an idea, if you have a look at the map, hopefully I can route this. So the bridge being here, this is our irrigated, so this is our 80 hectares in this block here, and the rest of our farm straight across the river and goes all the way out, all the way out, all the way out back here.
Can you explain the river and the bridge, please?
Yes, so the Taieri River, we have 7 k's of river frontage. Here, this is the river. And the Sutton Bridge is, right here. Okay, so you can see we farm on both sides. And just to give some context for Leon here, he's got a property just along here. Okay, and his main farm, Mount Ross, is all over here, a large property out this way. Okay, so bearing that in mind, so we use that bridge daily, frequently, and of course the collapse of the bridge in July 17 has seriously impacted on our farming operation and has come at a significant cost to our farming business. The direct costs in terms of having to truck stock back and forth and the increased fuel, maintenance, vehicle costs, etc. to date are approximately about $8,500. But we estimate that the losses in production are much more significant, conservatively estimated about $25,000. So as you could imagine, we've got, example right now, we've got calves in this block here. They need to come here, so it would have been a 20-minute, 30-minute walk around the road, across the bridge and onto our Sutton block. Now they have to be walked the 6 k's back home to our farm, to our cattle yards, put on a truck and trucked around to that block. So, as I said, the bridge is used for vehicles, but also is frequently used for stock movement, and this must be considered when you're looking at replacement options. The loss of the bridge has also significantly negative impacts on our school bus, the mail run and tourist routes, and visitors to our region can no longer do our scenic heritage loop as they can't get across the bridge. We support a single lane bridge rated to 50 tonne. There's sides for safe stock crossing and allows passage of pedestrians and cyclists. But the main focus of our message today is in respect to timing. The report indicates the project, in order to ensure the full 76% of the NZTA funding, should start in 2018-19 year, with a time frame of 5 to 8 months depending on the option for the bridge taken. It's absolutely essential that you take the time to put the correct option in place for a replacement bridge, but once that decision is made, then we'd endorse the immediate start of the project. As highlighted above, the losses to our business are significant and will continue to be so until we have a replacement bridge in place. We need surety of timing to plan the management of our blocks on the Sutton side of the river, whilst there's no bridge, and then be ready for full production once the bridge is back up. In terms of crops, pasture renewal, feed budgeting, etc., we work at least 12 months in advance of when we actually need the feed. So it's essential we understand the times involved and that the replacement is undertaken as soon as possible. I'll just show you. How did I click through this? Obviously, you've all seen the bridge, but this is just examples of us using the bridge in our day-to-day operations. Okay. So that's on behalf of Andrew and myself. Now Carmen Hope, Carmen and Alistair, they farm at the back of Road's End, right at the end of Shingley Road, or right out the back. Carmen is a councillor for the Otago Regional Council. She couldn't be here today, so she's asked me to just read this out on her behalf. So Carmen says, I wrote in support of our new heritage bridge being built and ask please that the committee give this urgency that it now deserves. Prior to July floods in 2017, as a community we were delighted to have the bridge reopened after maintenance had been carried out and life was back to normal. The bus has only made one trip to and from school, and our community once again had a vital services of daily rural mail, which included the must-needed prescriptions, medical supplies, parcels and rural news. We also breathed a sigh of relief knowing that should in the unfortunate situation occur that an ambulance will be able to make the journey to Mount Stoker or Macraes or Nentthorne areas safely without having to travel the longer route through Middlemarch to attend an incident or rural resident of our community needing urgent medical attention. The 10 to 12 minutes that an ambulance does not have to travel through Middlemarch is a difference in a medical response and attention, and the difference could save lives. I can actually give a real example of that. 3 weeks ago, one of our staff fell and tripped and hit her head, slashing it open, black eye, skinned her chin, and was obviously concussed. They sent an ambulance, which took an hour and 20 minutes to get to us, even though it came from Mosgiel. And you can imagine when you've got someone with a head injury that it's kind of scary, and an extra 15 minutes waiting on an ambulance to turn up is not nice. Once the ambulance arrived, they immediately called the helicopter because it had gone into a more severe situation. And thankfully she's all good now, but that ambulance could have been there 15 minutes quicker to help us deal with that problem. Back to Carmen. As farmers, we've watched in frustration, knowing that farming families who have land on both sides of the bridge have mounting costs in days wasted with sheer travelling around Middlemarch and back to the land on either side of the Sutton or lower Mount Stoker, Mount Ross side. The bridge directly services about 20,000 hectares for access to Dunedin for freight and goods and for fertiliser for at least 20 farming families that are greatly affected by this interruption to daily lives. The other factor that most do not consider here is the importance of this bridge in times of emergency services. Ponder this question for a minute. What would happen if the Taueri Bridge at Middlemarch was also impassable and emergency services could not get through and have no access to the other side of the river? With the bridge servicing the usual array of country usage, it's vital to connect these services and our people together. The bridge has given us all much pleasure seeing bikers, walkers, recreational fishing in the Taueri River, while rural livestock has walked over our bridge all seasons from one side to the other. Prior to the bridge maintenance in 2017, there was also commercial and private stock movement, an essential lifeline assisting a rural community. Will this new heritage bridge bring back the bridge weights that our highway approved, allowing stock trucks, baleage and winter feed to be carted, as well as general cartage that again make our rural farming lives more serviceable? Now the school bus is back to making 2 trips a day and the rural mail is timed differently. We need our bridge. It is the lifeblood and lifeline that links our community and enables us to commute and links us to State Highway 87. Thank you for listening. Carmen Hope.
And I should have said Carmen and her husband also had property on both sides of the river. I've forgotten about
yes,
that.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Leon Leslie. Leon Leslie. Yeah, our wife and I farm, and as Lenore pointed out, we have pretty much exactly the same problems as Lenore has. In our case, we've spent approximately $7,500 in the last year on transport. That's extra transport, just to compensate for the bridge. And I estimate we've lost around 20 grand a year as well in productivity. Simply we can't run it as efficiently as we used to. We support a bridge of 50 tonne carrying capacity minimum, single lane with a curb mounted footpath. When I say that, I mean a curb that high. That's what the transit traditionally look at for single lane bridges, the footpath on them. They will have about a 75mm upstand, which you can actually drive on. Pretty essential for agricultural machinery and stuff to have free access, because it's one of the major uses of the bridge from our point of view. along with livestock droving. And also having the footpath gives some where for people to stand. Quite often we're confronted, it is a one-way bridge and often we give way to pedestrians. They're down there looking at the trout in the river, cyclists parked on the bridge, all sorts, so not that we mind them. The other thing I was a little annoyed about, we had no contact from the authors of the report relating to the bridge. They never bothered to consult us in any way, shape or form, and I think the report was a bit lacking because of that. So I would ask that once you proceeding with rebuilding the bridge, that when we get to the design stage, that we are consulted to ensure we do get something that's fit for purpose. We definitely need a high railing to protect pedestrians and stock. It's not a negotiable thing really. Other than that, I can't say add much more to what Lenore's already said. I strongly believe, though, that you need to consider it as an overall package. We have the situation where this will give us 3 bridges across the Tairi, and while that seems excessive, it's a very large area. Should anything happen to one of them, as happened in the past when the Hyde one was closed, it was extreme inconvenience for everyone concerned. So, and as I've written here, it's spreading your traffic over all roads has benefits for the roading network in general. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Leon. Are you both happy to take questions?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Benson Pope has some.
Thank you. You sort of touched on this, but I just want you to confirm that there's no call or demand for more than a single lane bridge, footpath aside. A one lane bridge is of appropriate width is satisfactory?
Yeah, I think so, yes, yeah. Okay. As I'm concerned, the critical thing is to have the weight. Yeah, I must have that weight carrying ability, because...
I understand that, but you know, there's a wider issue in New Zealand that we're often coming across on major routes, difficult single lane bridges, and it would be, if clearly the traffic doesn't really warrant that here, but I just wanted to hear that there was no call or demand for more than a single lane bridge.
I think in an ideal world, you would go, yeah, build a double lane.
Yeah, we don't have one of those.
But if you go the time and the money to do that, and it's a single lane road coming onto it, not a double laned Tarsiel road, so we're driving single file anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And
but I reinforce it needs to be up to that to support agricultural equipment, so it needs to be 50 tonne.
And your other priority, that aside, is also sooner rather than later?
Sooner rather than later, sides on the bridge and 50 tonne.
Yeah, if I could just add there, I'd like to support what Lenore said about the 12 months out. We're currently committed for the next 12 months on what we're doing on the block now, but we're just, yeah, that would be a good scheme. Councillor
Gary.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for coming along and filling out the picture with those details. A couple of questions. I just wondered, does insurance cover those kind of situations for you when you have those extra costs in this situation? No, I assumed not, but I just wondered. And secondly, in terms of, you've been really clear about what kind of bridge you want. Do you have any view around new bridge, new historic bridge, in terms of the aesthetics of the bridge? Because I don't think you mentioned that.
Our bridge was beautiful. It was absolutely, well, you saw the pictures, everyone come to look at it, and we mourn its loss. But I do understand, if in some way it could be a heritage new bridge, that would be brilliant. I think if when reading through the reports, it sounds like the rebuilding the old bridge is we're going to have the same issues that we face now, and so that's not acceptable. But I guess predominantly for me, the bridge is the number one factor.
So something that's fit for purpose.
Yes.
And if we can do,
and if you can,
amenity as well. Yep.
Yeah, or use the bits from the old bridge in another way that pays tribute to the workmanship that went into it. That would be excellent.
Thank you for your clarity. And would you like to comment as well?
Yeah, I agree. We just need a decent bridge. I don't think the heritage side of it is. I mean, those guys, when they built it, they certainly did a good job, and obviously it stood the test of time. But yeah, I can't see it happening, to be honest.
Thank you. Councillor Elder?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for coming along. You mentioned, in context with a heritage bridge and fitting, is a heritage trail. Can you tell us?
Yes, sorry. Well, what we have in Middlemarch is basically we have a trail that tourists to the region can follow that goes up. If you started from Middlemarch, it goes up past Kate's Place, up along the back road at the base of the mountain, round past the old military camp, down over the Sutton Bridge, round the back, past the old stone yards, past Smooth Cone, back to the township. So that's all got historical sites all along there, of which the bridge was one of them. So now, of course, that loop can't be done, and so bits of it just don't get seen.
So in context of a heritage trail, would a heritage bridge be a better option?
I guess I'll put my farming hat on first and say farming first. We need that's always going to bring
A new heritage bridge, right?
Yeah, a new heritage bridge. Yeah.
And the other thing you mentioned was cycling, and in that context, the cycling tourism. What could you say about that?
As Leon alluded to before, we have cyclists. We're on the bridge all the time. We often stop for cyclists. They cycle that loop as well. They often come off the Pukerangi Bridge. The train at Pukerangi, bike down. We have accommodation on the side. Bike round to that. So it would be ideal to have pedestrian and cyclist access on there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
Councillor Lord?
Yeah, Lenore, I just wanted to check. You said you had about 25,000 and Leon had 20,000 of other costs. Is that time lost as in driving around? Is that what you're talking about there?
No, it's through the not mismanagement, but the poorer management of the property in terms of you can't make the decisions that you need to, you can't have the stock there to utilise the feed when you need it, you can't take the silage off it because it's too expensive to run it all well, poor old Leon, he's got to do a complete loop from a 5-minute drive to a 35-minute drive.
Yeah.
And you can imagine taking silage trucks around to do that.
Yeah.
So it's more from the production loss, are more about the management, how to manage the block. Yeah. And they are our feeding silos for our dry land.
Yeah.
So
on a daily basis at this time of year when you're feeding animals behind breaks and that sort of stuff, are you having to run the tractor around there and back?
220 dairy cows there at the moment,
Yeah.
and so that was pre-booked in, couldn't do anything about that, had to be there. And so I go 3 times a day. I've left a tractor and silage wagon down there, so that means that's one tractor out on the other side of the farm.
Yeah.
And it's considerable time and expense to manage those cows down there.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, thanks for coming. I just want to it's just technical points which I'm then going to hit up Richard when he speaks. So you're talking about the, in terms of the capacity, it's the heavy commercial 50-tonne max specs you'd be looking for the bridge to be built to, so it can take those heavy commercial vehicles?
Yes, there's an awful lot of stock traffic, and we've also got, next door to us, we've got a very 6,000 hectare property you're probably aware of. They trade a lot of stock, a lot of stock.
And then I'm sure you're probably aware of the Pyramid Bridge on the Mataura River, which also went for a swim the last set of floods we've had. And that one's been replaced by NZTA as a single lane bridge based on their requirements, for their feeling of traffic movements. Some of the considerations of the design were to take into account the agricultural vehicles that were crossing it. So I assume you'd want those same considerations put into here in terms of width, carriageway and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good.
Well, just taking that further, just to make sure that it is covered. When you say high sides, and I've had other complainants in the district talking about high-sided bridges that they can't take all of the farm equipment through on. So when you say the normal NZA standard, that will allow for sprayers and headers and things to go through?
Yeah, the problem with high sides start with the existing old bridges, which are only from memory 3 metres 3.2 metres wide. With high sides on them, you can't pass them with a lot of implements. They won't. It's not possible. But if you build a new bridge and you've got a carriageway of 3.6 plus a footpath, I think it is from memory, looking at the transit, the LSTA set out, so long as you've got the mountable curb, you'll have plenty of space to carry any of those type implements. But as I say, any questions, consult us, because we do have it's all in the NZTA files. I think it's TL3 is the railing, and from memory. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Vandervis.
Thank you very much for coming and giving us the additional information. It's going to help us make our decision. The longer route through Middlemarch, you've talked about it being an extra 15 minutes. Is it possible for you to show us what that route is on that map that you just had?
Sorry.
And while you're sorting that out, can you give us some idea of what the condition of the roads are leading to where the bridge used to be? Are the roads up to your 50-tonne truck standard, or do the roads themselves need some work?
I can answer that. Yes, the roads do need some work, as do all the roads in the area. They are up to 50-tonne standard, and they will carry it quite comfortably. There's no question about that. The surfacing of the roads varies from time to time because they use a clay-based mix on top with not a lot of gravel in very often, and because the maintenance is sometimes done when there's deemed to be money left to spend, we end up with a sheet of clay on top which the trucks will chew through. It's more a methodology thing than the amount of money that's being spent. But the roads are adequate for the 50 tonnes, yes.
Right, so there is no, apart from the cost of the bridge itself, there isn't any other expense on the roads required other than your normal servicing in order to handle your 50-tonne loads?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if you start, here's the bridge here, and follow the road. So this is Sutton Mount Ross Road. So there's the, if you were coming from Dunedin, that's the railway line that you cross at Sutton. So you can either come out and turn left and get onto the main road into Middlemarch, or you can take Garthmole Road, the back road, which is gravel. I always take the back one because that takes a few minutes off. So if you sort of follow both those roads, here's Garthmole going this way. This is our farm just here again. There's the main road going up. Here's Garthmole Road. This is still our farm just here again. Very frustrating. So following that road into Middlemarch itself. So Garthmole Road comes in here, and Middlemarch the main road. We carry on, and then we turn east and head out over the Torrey River Bridge here, around to keep following the road round onto Mount Stoker Road, and that's us here. And then you keep going all the way down here, Murray's Road, on gravel, all gravel for Leon, all the way down here, and there's Leon's driveway coming in here.
Okay.
So from there to there, from your place to there, how far is that, Leon? From your house?
From our house to the front of the driveway is 4 k's.
4 k's, and then it's probably not quite a k to the bridge.
It's 1.1 k's to the bridge, yes.
Yeah,
and we've approximately got to travel 3 k's to get to the block from our front gate when the bridge was there. And now we're travelling 25 or whatever it is, I've forgotten now.
Okay, and can you also let us know what the carrying capacity, number of lanes, etc. is of the Torrey Bridge at Middlemarch?
2 lane.
2 lane, 50
I
tonne?
presume it's 50 tonne.
Well, there is no posted restriction on it.
So you can assume 50 tonne, and width in terms of your agricultural machinery, no limits?
Not for that one, no, it's 2 lane.
Okay, so the Torrey Bridge at Middlemarch does everything you want, except for where it is?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, and the number of kilometres between the Torrey Bridge and the Sutton Bridge, the one that you're looking at, roughly?
It's about 12, oh no. 12, pardon? Oh, hold on.
In the report, it's a loop of 15 k's.
So it's actually about 7.5 k's away then?
Yeah.
Okay, Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for coming. You mentioned you expressed your disappointment at not being spoken to by the authors of the report that we're basing our decision on. And we can get to the contents of that later, but I just thought it might be worth knowing if there was anything in particular in it that you disagreed with, or what particularly you think is missing, or that might be too big a question. I don't know, but how would you have inputted into that had you been given the opportunity?
Basically, the amount of the costs to all the people on our side of the bridge, especially Templetons ourselves, but also to the other surrounding people as well. I thought that was pretty poor. They actually stated that in their assumptions that the lost productivity and wider economic impacts as a result of the bridge closure are small and are therefore excluded from analysis. That's the statement in the report.
And a conclusion they came to without discussing that with any of the affected parties.
Correct.
It's helpful to know. Thank you.
And it might be small in their scale, but it's big in our businesses.
And there's an enormous amount of transport costs. We're basically at the end because of that bridge not being there, and a lot of the flow from the heavy trucks will go from off the main road coming back from Dunedin way and up through Hyde if that bridge is available. And usually it's out of town trucks, but you'll see them, they get to the bridge and they're forced to turn around. And I've seen them get right there and back up, and they back up to a set of cattle yards, a full truck and trailer, and turn around. The other alternative is, and which we've seen happen as well, is that a fully loaded truck and trailer unit just went straight over the bridge. We've seen that happen more than once. The old bridge would carry it quite comfortably, even though engineers would decry the matter, but that's the fact it would.
No further questions? Thank you. Thank you for your presenting. That you're more than welcome to stay and see how we debate that issue when it comes up, or leave as you wish. Thank you.